Motivation didn't vanish because of laziness. It disappeared because something fundamental shifted within. Here is what rarely gets discussed. Awakening doesn't simplify existence. Often it complicates how you navigate reality, following a spiritual awakening. A peculiar paradox emerges that few acknowledge. You glimpse truth, you recognize you're neither your career, your narrative, nor your mental chatter. Initially, this realization brings euphoria, then emptiness arrives. Suddenly, existence feels purposeless. Our earlier exploration examined why motivation evaporates post-awakening. That foundation proves essential for what follows here. This isn't merely about recovering drive. This concerns finding significance when previous sources fail. What truly occurs during awakening? It transcends simple insight. It is psychological upheaval. Everything previously valued, achievement, approval, personal identity, crumbles. When that framework collapses, what remains? Emptiness, the unadorned self, terrifying. This aspect catches people unprepared. Awakening isn't purely spiritual experience. It is psychological emergency. Carl Jung termed this encountering the self, the moment ego realizes it is no longer central. That is not liberation, that is dissolution. In Jungian thought, the persona, your social mask, begins disintegrating. What follows isn't immediate clarity or tranquility. It is disorientation, existential haze. Without the old story, you're standing there, narrative, less. Here is the hidden truth. Your mind desperately grasps for something, anything, former beliefs, fresh spiritual doctrines, even melancholy, because at least that registers as real. But consider this. What if meaninglessness isn't problematic? What if it is an opening? Jung believed this void, this absence of former self, isn't journey's end. It is the invitation to commence the authentic one, the twist. That journey doesn't ascend toward enlightenment. It descends into unknown territory, into yourself. Most people stall here. They mistake awakening for final destination. Jung would argue it is merely the threshold. Jung observed that people attempt anything, however absurd, to avoid confronting their soul post-awakening. Your ego has fractured, the unconscious, your shadow, fears, unprocessed pain, begin seeping through. We're conditioned to pursue light, not taught to inhabit darkness. Hence the numbness, restlessness, strange isolation. You've expanded awareness without integrating it. Jung called this individuation, becoming your authentic self by confronting your complete psyche, messy, emotional, necessary, genuine meaning doesn't emerge from escaping reality. It comes from becoming whole within it. Challenge a prevalent notion. Ego death isn't enlightenment. It is identity trauma. Ego isn't villainous. It is incomplete. Jung didn't advocate ego annihilation. He wanted ego evolution, transforming it from survival, based mask into aware, balanced self-harmonizing with unconscious and soul, feeling fragmented post-awakening. You've cracked the shell without rebuilding inner architecture. That requires time. Many people numb themselves here, chasing highs, dissociating, over-spiritualizing, still seeking external meaning. Jung's philosophy, the meaning you seek isn't external. It is in unmet parts of yourself. How do you reconstruct meaning when the former collapsed and return proves impossible? Perhaps you felt it, that yearning. Something wants progression, yet you're suspended between former and emerging selves. awaiting life's permission that never arrives. Jung termed this reconstructing the self. Most never transcend it. They revert to old patterns or remain in post-awakening fog indefinitely, numbing through distraction or detachment. Jung's discovery might surprise you. The exit path isn't about increased action or finding motivation. It is understanding your inner world's architecture. Consider Jung's archetypes, universal psychic patterns, internal blueprints helping you comprehend your becoming, the hero, seeker, sage, orphan, not fantasy. Transformation patterns post-awakening, your old archetype, achiever, pleaser, survivor, no longer functions, hence the pointlessness. You're not damaged. You've outgrown your role. Powerful, now you choose, not from fear or conditioning, but truth. Jung stated, the task isn't becoming good or spiritual. It is becoming whole, embracing contradictions, shadows, gifts, grief. Your new meaning won't arrive externally. It is already encoded within, awaiting remembrance, most dismissed dreams. Jung didn't. He believed your unconscious transmits nightly messages guiding integration. Not mysticism, your brain reorganizing psyche. Notice recurring symbols, animals, impossible architecture, familiar strangers, not random messengers, feeling lost. Start here, maintain a dream journal, record images, don't analyze, observe. Patterns emerge over time, your subconscious providing pieces of the identity you're constructing, acting on these hints, triggers, synchronicities. Life whispers back. That is Jung's alchemy. But how do you live this? How do you transform inner work into functional life? Awareness is beautiful, but bills exist. Relationships demand presence. Reality requires engagement. Here is uncomfortable truth. Awakening doesn't create superhumans. It makes you more human, real, vulnerable, aware. That awareness demands something. It prohibits autopilot return. The world attempts pulling you back into noise, performance, comparison. Jung's reminder, the goal isn't fitting back into boxes. It is learning to live from your center in the real world. That requires new tools, not just techniques, but inner frameworks supporting your truest self's emergence. 3 powerful Jungian tools for rediscovering meaning, not borrowed meaning, not superficial motivation, but your own. Relearn silence's language. Our world screams, not just sonically, but expectationally. Even healing became noise. When we finally stopped sitting alone without devices or stimulation, panic strikes in silence. No script exists, no algorithm to satisfy. Only you, the version you've likely avoided extensively. Jung would say silence isn't absence, it is presence. Presence so profound it threatens ego's control illusion. Silence is where self speaks, not outer self inner witness. Soul the trick. Don't sit in silence expecting profundity. That is still ego. Sit without needing it to accomplish anything. Let it feel frightening. Let boredom surface. Let discomfort crawl. Your psyche detoxing from noise addiction. In that stillness, patterns rise. You notice what your nervous system communicates. Emotional backlog gains voice. Eventually, quiet knowing emerges. Not from thought, but felt truth. Here, meaning's roots plant. Silence creates space for your authority. Terrifying realizing nobody else, not parents, gurus, systems, can dictate what is right for your soul, only you. But that is also freedom, where meaning originates. Second, reclaim your personal myth, Post-awakening, many feel disconnected from life's game. Jobs feel fabricated, goals seem hollow, relationships feel transactional. Jung would say, you're not beyond the world, you've outgrown your borrowed story. Time to remember the myth you came to live. Every soul has a myth, a unique being pattern it came expressing, not always obvious. Sometimes buried beneath conditioning years, but clues exist. Recall childhood. What did you do effortlessly before shame arrived? What made you lose time simply because it felt alive, even if seemingly childish, weird, unproductive? There is a meaning thread. Jung believed these early expressions aren't random. They're self-glimpses before world editing. Not about goal setting, about listening to what life expresses through you, what keeps returning despite suppression attempts. That is your myth calling. It won't resemble anyone else's path. It shouldn't. Third, transform suffering into art. Here is a major cultural lie. Creativity stems from happiness and art belongs to the talented. Jung disagreed entirely. He saw creative expression as psyche's natural healing method, bringing unconscious into form through images, writing, sound. Movement liberates stuck internal energy. Stop waiting to feel good to create. Use your anger, use your grief, use your confusion. Let emotions be paint, not poison. You needn't be a real artist. You need to express. Do it childlike, curious, messy, unapologetic. Not for validation, not for perfection, because something inside needs emergence. The more raw and real you allow it, the more transcendent it becomes. You don't just find meaning through it, you create meaning for others. Integration isn't about returning to who you were. It is releasing everything that isn't truly you and living from remaining clarity. Silence grants access to inner voice. Your personal myth provides direction. Creativity gives you courage to embody it. Yes, awakening might cost things, relationships, identities, careers, but if those were built on illusion, they were never truly yours. The reward is authentic meaning, meaning nobody can take because you remembered it yourself. If this resonated with something real in you, you're not alone. This path feels isolating, but it is also among the most honest things you'll walk. Here is my question. What is one truth you faced since awakening that completely transformed how you see yourself or the world? Share it in the comments. You never know who your story might help. If you haven't already, subscribe to Fractal Wisdom. It is a space for seekers, misfits, and deep thinkers wanting to build lives rooted in truth, not illusion.